Well, at least I know that with my terrible handwriting, well, my handwriting is improved, but I have a very shaky hand. I have negative art skills. Believe me, I've tried to do art. It's not what. Well, actually, I have a story, a very painful story. When I was in high school, I had a class, a nice literature class, and my teacher wanted to encourage students to do creative projects instead of writing essays. Which sounds good on paper. The practice in which it happened, let's just say some kids prefer to do essays, and then she'd have the audacity to complain about the kids doing essays when she knows it's a harder task to do, but it's just, they prefer it. Because of the way she taught our graded, kids would actually prefer to write essays instead of do the creative task. Unfortunately, I was too lazy to write essays, so I wanted to just do the creative task because I felt it was easier. But this is different. So we had the task to, I guess, draw a character from a book. And I have very, very poor art skills. So it was either draw the character from the book or essays. But I was like, you know what? Let me go all out. 6 hours. I spend 6 hours drawing this character, pulling every little detail from the book, putting it on. I could have finished an essay in a quicker time. An essay would probably have taken 2 to 4 hours. This drawing took 6. And I poured my heart out. I did it with the limited resources I had. I did it so much. And I just basically did a face portrait of this guy. Because, you know, it only really described his face, the book. The book being Frankenstein. I drew not Frankenstein. I drew Frankenstein's monster, and I mean the monster Dr. Frankenstein created. Not Dr. Frankenstein is actually the monster. That's a silly little talking point, but that's besides the point. I spent 6 hours drawing this Frankenstein. Over 6 hours, for being completely honest, but 6 hours. And I'm very bad at art, very bad in this skills, but I wanted to actually try, put my best foot forward, put as much effort into this as I can. This is the most effort I've ever put into one of that class's projects. Whether it be in writing, whether it be in other creative projects, it is the most effort I put in. I just want to stress that so much, that I put in so much effort. And I get the project back. And let me say it, like, how do I phrase this? I believe she gave me less than 50. Like, less than 50%. And I was just abhorred. I was flabbergasted. I was honestly a bit livid. Because here I am, doing everything I can, putting my best foot forward, trying my hardest. And I get rewarded with the lowest grade I've ever gotten in that class. And I've gotten decently low grades in that class because that teacher was a bad teacher, and that teacher was a terrible grader. That teacher also basically failed everyone on their summer essays because they're of a format that she didn't tell us about. She had us redo them, but she did fail basically the entire class on their summer essays and had us redo them, which was a very, very terrible thing to do, I feel. But that's beside the point. But this was the lowest grade I ever received in her class, and this is the most effort I've ever put into her class, and I am livid. But unfortunately, I'm this shy little meek state where I don't say anything. But even if I did say anything, what would have happened? Nothing. Just, I would get this teacher angry at me, and that would have probably negatively impacted my grade, because some teachers are like that, and unfortunately, most aren't. And even bad teachers sometimes aren't. But you don't want to necessarily take chances. You want to pick your battles wisely. So that, combined with my lack of confrontational ability, led to just me suffering in silence. And then I also saw the worst thing about it was that there were people who didn't put any effort into it. Not just because they're lazy, but because, you weren't really supposed to. You weren't really supposed to put a ton of effort into this project. Be real. And 2, they made collages, which you were allowed to do. But they made collages where they would just basically put 3 images and glue them on a piece of paper, hand it in. And those kids, not only did they pass, which they deserved to pass, they did the project well. I'm not mad that they got a good grade, but those kids got like high 80s and low 90s, like stuff like that on the project. And I'm not mad at that. Well, no, I'm not mad at that. Of course, they completed their project. They deserve that grade. But for me to try to put my best foot forward, to put in all that effort, and for it to get stomped on, that was just heartbreaking. That was just heartbreaking. That's one of my many villain origin stories. Oh, you're still here? Awesome! This is usually where I'll say something like, don't forget to like and subscribe. So, don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, there's another video right here. I think you'll like this one, so maybe check it out. Well, as always, have a day. I hope it's a good one. See ya!